In the heart of a gray, unforgiving morning in the Roman Empire, you stirred awake. The air hung heavy with dampness and smoke, and the familiar sting of cold nipped at your skin. Creaking wood told the story of a humble abode, where straw served as bed, and nature's unwanted guests, fleas, made a game of your comfort. The scent of damp earth, poorly mingled with acrid smoke, filled your nostrils, leaving a bitter reminder of the hearth's effort to keep warmth alive. You blinked against the dim light that filtered through the cracks in the wooden walls, wondering fleetingly if any heroic tales of glory could compensate for these mundane awakenings. Echoed nearby, it was time to rise. With a resigned sigh, you shuffled to the dirt floor, the chill seeping through your thin tunic. You grasped your broom, a rough bundle of twigs tied together, and began sweeping. Side to side, the dirt shifting, but never truly leaving. Rustle of sweep. How invigorating. How spectacularly pointless. Your mind wandered as you swept, imagining the conquests of great men, but here you were, just moving dust. Is this what they meant by historical significance? You pondered, and the thought of glorious battles flew away like dust in the wind. Next came the pottage, a thin gruel simmering in a clay pot. You settled onto the low wooden stool, a relic in itself, and began to stir. Round and round, the spoon moved through the tepid broth, releasing a steam that only reminded you of your own sluggishness. Each stir felt heavier than the last, akin to the weight of expectations you must fulfill. Why was every day a repeat of the last? The comforting crunch of the broom against the dirt made for an oddly rhythmic sound, coaxing your thoughts into a haze of calm. The villagers' distant chatter was a gentle lullaby, whispering of both mundane worries and dreams that seemed as remote as the stars. You stirred and listened, pondering whether any of this was truly worth it. Whispering gossip. Time dripped slowly as the sun began its ascent, golden rays barely parting the gloom. You glanced towards the door, half expecting an impressive figure to stride in, demanding something grand from you. Instead, just the creeping realization that you would likely be fetching water next. Another riveting task that filled one's heart with joy. If only one had a heart. Dragging footsteps. Your eyelids grew heavy, sensations drifting like the smoke of the morning fire. And just as you adjusted for what could only be another monotonous day in the Empire, a distant shout pierced the air, creating a curious tension within the comforting routine of your life. Hey, before Morpheus fully embraces you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Take a moment to leave a like, as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this calm corner alive. Thanks for being part of it. An unexpected dawn. The distant shout echoed like a crack of thunder, jolting you from your thoughts. You froze momentarily, broom in hand, as uncertainty rippled through the air. What now? The village square usually buzzed with predictable noise, chatter, laughter, the clanging of metal. But today, an undercurrent of panic made the air thick. You glanced toward the door, heart racing. On the edge of the village, a figure emerged from the shifting mist, silhouette, tall and imposing. The villagers began to gather, eyes wide with apprehension. Who was this new presence? The sunlight illuminated a glimmer of metal at the figure's waist. A weapon? With each step, whispers heightened. You strained to catch snippets. Change. Killing. Not safe. The tension coiled tighter around you. The reassuring familiarity of your routine started to dissolve, replaced by fear's cold grip. The figure cleared their throat, a deep growl resonating as the crowd fell silent, all eyes fixed. Their voice cut through the fog. Your leaders have lied to you. Your stomach twisted. This was not just gossip. An accusation rang through the open space, heavy with consequence. You heard the murmur of disbelief rise from the crowd, fueled by curiosity and dread. Food shortages, decrees of rationing, all lies to keep you obedient. The figure's voice was steady, even as it rippled through the crowd like wildfire. As you stood frozen, memories of empty grain stores flickered in your mind, and your heart raced with the horrifying realization that there might be truth in those words. For how long had you and the others been deceived, scratching out a life that wasn't even real? The newcomer continued, tone penetrating. Your leaders hoard resources for themselves, while you starve. They've fortified the gates, ensuring you stay right where they want you. What you believe is your home has become a prison. Panic erupted in the crowd. Your neighbors began to murmur, exchanging frantic glances. Could you trust anyone now? The familiar faces you relied on? What secrets had they buried beneath smiles? You caught sight of a few villagers breaking from the throng, fear evident as they retreated to their homes, schemes of safety worming their way through their thoughts. The rest of the group, however, gripped by a strange mix of fear and burgeoning outrage, shifted closer to the figure. With each revelation, the balance of power in the village shifted, but the absence of plausible answers left a scarier truth lurking. If your leaders could lie about this, what else was being concealed? In that moment, shadows swirled as you glanced at the figure. Your breath quickened, spine tingling with anticipation. The figure pointed towards the west, the direction of the mountains, a dark, daunting silhouette against the pale sky. Gather your things. Tonight, we march to reclaim what is ours. Your chest tightened as the implications sunk in. To march meant resistance. To resist meant danger, chaos, and everything you'd ever known turned upside down. And before you could process your thoughts, the ringing of the bell echoed ominously through the village, twisting your insides. You turned just in time to see a line of armored soldiers approaching on horseback, down the path you had always known. The villagers' despair morphed into an electrifying fear. Time hung still as you stood at the edge of a precipice, ready to leap into the unknown. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished. And I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. An unexpected truth. The bell's ominous clang echoed through the village, vibrating through your bones. Soldiers on horseback rounded the bend, each hoofbeat like a drum signaling dread. Panic spread like wildfire. Murmurs morphed into frantic whispers, desperate exchanges dashing through the crowd's collective mind. You barely had time to catch your breath as fear gripped the villagers, eyes darting towards the towering figure who had just sparked chaos. Then a loud crack followed, a beam of wood splitting in the nearby barn. All heads turned, the vibrant sounds of worry drowned out by the immediate shock of something else cracking beneath the weight of expectations. A nearby villager, old and gnarled like a twisted tree, raised their voice. "No, not now!" Their panic was palpable. Your heart raced in time with the bell. The soldier's scent of metal mingling with the smoke of the hearth you had left behind this morning. You turned your gaze back just in time to catch sight of one soldier lifting their spear. The light glinted off the polished metal, a reminder of the very world you thought you knew, a world grounded in peace only on the surface. But then, everything slowed. From the shadows behind the soldiers emerged a cohort of villagers. Accusing fingers pointed straight at the newcomers. "Lies!" a voice cried out. "You've been lying to us all along." Your mind reeled. The figure in the square had stirred fear and truth, and now the tide shifted again. Villagers you had known your whole life were standing united against the very authority meant to protect them. Were they just pawns in a larger game? The soldier's jaw clenched tightly, a tick of rage burning bright across their features. "This isn't your fight," he yelled, voice thin but laced with authority. "Stand down or face the consequences." But the crowd surged forward, emboldened by the figure's inspired rhetoric. You longed for the comfort of the dirt floor, of the predictable cycle of sweeping and stirring potage. Instead, you felt the pull of the unknown, a rising tide of rebellion. Just as you considered slipping back into the shadows, a woman stepped forward, face taut with anger. "You think we don't see you? You think we'll just let this happen?" And with that, you saw the unmistakable flash of steel among the villagers, as someone pulled a weapon from their cloak, a dagger gleaming with a determination that may have been misplaced, but felt electric in the moment. The prospect of battle loomed heavy over the square, a weight threatening to shatter the fragile calm. Then, from the crowd, the newcomer huddled even closer, their fists clenched, fire igniting deep within their eyes. "Gather your things," the figure commanded, urgency thrumming like a drum within the crowd. "This is your chance." But just as movement began, that heavy, suffocating feeling returned. A sharp crack echoed in the distance. A different sound, a familiar echo that bordered on the spine tingling. The ground trembled beneath you. It was an earthquake. And then a shadow fell across the square. A colossal shape loomed. A plume of dark smoke spiraled into the sky, fizzling like a portentous omen. You glanced back, terror gripping your chest. Had you stepped too far from the routine that had slowly become your whole existence? The bell tolled once more, drowning out the murmurs of dissent, and a fierce resolve settled in the core of your being. How far were you willing to go to stand with your village? Yet as chaos erupted around you, one thought echoed louder than the rest. Were you on the right side? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A day of unexpected revelations. Your heart banged like the bell, tolling through the village. Panic and fear swirled, pressing closer. Soldiers on horseback advanced, the ground quaking beneath their weight. But as chaos reigned, another sound rang through the tense air, a muffled thudding from the nearby barn. You exchanged uncertain glances with your neighbors, the realization dawning on you that today's reality harbored secrets far more profound. Before you could decipher the noise, the ground shifted again, as if it had a life of its own. The air tasted metallic, each breath heavy with anticipation. Then, in a disorienting moment, the barn doors burst open. A figure emerged. Not a soldier or rebel, but an elderly woman, her long, tattered cloak fluttering like a desperate flag. Her eyes, sharp and wild, scanned the crowd, and she held something in her trembling hands. "Stop!" she croaked, voice cutting through the turmoil. "You've all got it wrong." The attention shifted. Soldiers paused, and villagers stared, hearts thumping in sync. The woman stepped forward, revealing the item she clutched, a tattered map, stained and weather-worn. "What's that?" you whispered, leaning closer to hear her words. Shock coursed through you as you glimpsed markings you didn't recognize. The figure in the square looked just as perplexed. The real danger lies beyond the mountains, she continued, urgency dripping from her voice. The elders, those you trust, they made a pact long ago, sealed with blood. What you see is not chaos, it is a diversion. Gasps rippled through the villagers. You felt the subtle shift in the atmosphere, each heartbeat heavy with disbelief. A pact? Before any thoughts could solidify, the soldier squared his shoulders. Enough! Who are you to speak of pacts? Who am I? She echoed, incredulity lacing her words. I'm a keeper of the truth. The Empire has been feeding you lies while the real threat watches from the shadows. While you fight each other, your mind struggled to grasp the implications. Shadows lurking? It seemed almost absurd. Yet desperation curled around your lungs. Let us in, one villager shouted, though your heart sank. The growing chatter reflected confusion rather than clarity. And at that moment, the soldier gestured to his men. Fear surged through you. Back to your homes, now, he ordered. But the crowd, emboldened by the woman's revelations, stood firm. You felt drawn to her words, an unexpected flicker of hope, and yet dread coiled within you. Then came a low rumble, not from the mountains, but from the earth itself. The ground shifted violently again. Someone screamed. What is happening? A voice cracked. The village seemed to hold its breath as the air grew thick with suspicion and uncertainty. Listen, the woman shouted, desperation creeping in. And then, as if the universe conspired to punctuate her claim, the weapon she'd revealed dropped from her grip. The map fluttered to the ground, a final echo of her message. In that moment, everything stopped. Soldiers hesitated. You stood on the edge, caught in a web of competing truths, unsteady. The chaos around. You had morphed into something far darker, a truth you were desperate to understand. Yet all you could do was watch as the world spiraled away from the life you thought you knew. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. An unexpected chaos. The dust settled like uninvited guests in the sudden stillness. Eyes darted around the square, tension winding tighter like a coiling spring. The elderly woman stood, trembling but fierce, the map spilling secrets between her gnarled fingers. Every villager's breath caught, suspended in disbelief. Listen, she cried out again, more desperate this time. You're fighting the wrong enemies. The villagers exchanged glances filled with uncertainty, like a flock of startled birds. The soldiers shifted uneasily in their ranks, frustration twisting their brows. Then a faint rumble echoed beneath your feet, a whisper of panic fluttering through the crowd. Was it another earthquake? Or something more sinister? The ground felt alive, stirring like an appetite long forgotten. "Enough of this!" the lead soldier shouted, his voice cutting through the uncertainty. "You will return to your homes or face the consequences." You watched as some villagers instinctively recoiled, fear clawing at their resolve. But others, emboldened by the woman's words, pushed forward, shoulders squared like they had swords instead of mere fists. The woman raised the map high. "The pact was made in blood, yes," she proclaimed. "But not just any blood. They sacrificed our children." A gasp cascaded through the crowd. Your heart raced, the weight of heavy truth settling like fog. What was this? A dark underbelly to the peace you thought you lived? The soldier sneered. "Lies." His voice cracked like thunder, but doubt settled in the villager's eyes. This was no ordinary rebellion. It was woven with threads of terror. "Your leaders have hidden the truth," she continued, urgency thrusting each word like an arrow. "The real danger lies beyond our mountains, a lurking horror kept at bay by our sacrifices." Sacrifices? You whispered the word, the taste of fear bitter on your tongue. Before you could process, the ground beneath you erupted with a deafening roar. You stumbled back, arms flailing for balance, but the tremor felt different this time. Not just beneath your feet, this tremor felt alive. The map slipped from the woman's grip, fluttering through the air like a wayward bird. As it touched the ground, a bright light burst forth. Your eyes widened, heart hammering, pulse racing. Colors brightened through the dust, reds, greens, blues, like a ripe fruit finally bursting open. It illuminated the village in hues you'd never seen. A cascade of warmth washed over you. Then another shout, sharp and piercing. "Look!" someone yelled, pointing to the mountains. A dark shadow thickened against the vibrant sky, rising like smoke from the earth's open mouth. The figure of a monstrous beast emerged, glinting, with eyes that stared deep into your soul. You froze, fear flooding your senses as gasps echoed around you. The villagers began to scatter, adrenaline rewriting the script of your reality. "What is that?" you cried, your voice barely a whisper. But the winds swallowed it whole. The soldiers drew their weapons, eyes wide, faces stark with horror, as the creature unleashed a roar that shook your bones. The villagers' rebellion suddenly felt trivial. Your heart sank. Were you prepared to resist in a world turned upside down? Would those whispers of lost children return with a vengeance? And right before chaos engulfed you, doubt curdled in your belly. Had you awakened a monster? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A shadow of truth, the rumble. Faded but fear rippled. You stood frozen, heart thrumming louder than the chaos surrounding you. A creature loomed against the waning light, monstrous and terrifying. Each heartbeat felt like a drum, signaling the end of the routine life you'd known. Then the ground shook again, but this time the tremor clutched your core. The map the old woman had dropped emitted a ghostly glow. Its colors splashed across the village square, mixing with the dust and chaos. Something was wrong, more wrong than you'd ever imagined. As villagers fled or frozen in disbelief, the soldiers tightened their grips on weapons. The air thickened, filled with whispers and gasps, echoing the horror of the moment. Suddenly, the creature's roar morphed into a voice, low and rumbling, reverberating through your bones. I have come to collect what is due. You blinked, confusion crashing over you. Collect? Collect what? The village? The children? Your heart sank with dread. You didn't want to find out. Just then, the elderly woman pointed a shaking finger at the beast. You're the reason for the sacrifices. Gasps echoed, a dagger of truth slicing through the crowd. The soldiers shifted uneasily, exchanging looks of uncertainty. The creature, instead of roaring again, sank slightly, as if the accusation had struck deeper than any blade. I am no enemy, it said, voice deeper than the earth itself. You felt adrenaline race. Were you truly facing a monster, or just another system of control? Did it matter in a world so upside down? What do you mean? You found yourself asking, incredulity lacing your words. I came to protect, the creature replied, eyes burning like coals in the dark. But your leaders have turned the truth into a weapon. What was happening? The old woman stepped forward, thrusting the map to your chest. Here, this will show you the truth. You hesitated, the map trembling in your hands, illuminating secrets not even the skies above dared to divulge. It glowed with a pulsating energy. The villagers watched, curiosity flickering amidst fear. Suddenly, a familiar sound echoed through the square. The tolling of the village bell, louder than before. A reminder of every day gone by, of every monotonous task. But now, that sound took on an ominous tone, resonating like a warning siren. Just then, the ground split open, a crack zigzagging across the dirt. Dust swirled, dark and thick. The villagers scrambled back, terror painted across their faces. In that fractured moment, you realized the sun was setting behind the mountains, and the fiery glow of the creature revealed shadows. Creeping figures swarmed. The elders emerged, cloaked in darkness, eyes glinting with malice. Your stomach twisted. What do they want? But as their shadows loomed, the creature raised a claw. No! It bellowed, urgency rippling through the heavy air. And that's when the truth struck, a searing revelation. The elders had been the puppeteers all along. Hadn't you thought of it? The sacrifices, the lies, it was all to keep control. But before you could grasp the full weight of that realization, chaos erupted. You stood at the heart of a storm, truths unraveling, monsters prowling, real and imagined. Could you face what lay ahead? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. An unexpected betrayal. The creature's voice echoed in the stunned silence. Villagers stood, frozen, as shadows loomed. You felt the weight of the map still in your hands, glowing with a strange energy. The air thickened, charged. What did it reveal? What secrets lay hidden within? The elders emerged from the encroaching darkness, eyes gleaming like shards of glass. You squinted, trying to make sense of the chaos. Why now? You whispered to yourself, barely believing the horror unfolding. Do you not see? The elder woman cried, her voice carrying over the murmurs. This was their plan all along. You struggled to piece it together through the fog of confusion. Was everyone in on it? Villagers you'd known your whole life, now cloaked in shadows. It felt like a bad dream, one you'd wake from to the comforting routine of sweeping dirt floors and stirring pottage. The creature shifted, a tremor shaking the ground beneath you. I came to stop the cycle, it intoned, but your leaders conspired to keep you blind. What? Blind? The only blindness you felt was the dizzying storm of incomprehensible truths. Your heart raced as you glanced at the map again. Lines stretched across unknown lands, symbols pulsating like a heartbeat. Your leaders have fed you a lie, the monster growled. A pact of protection built on fear and deception. The thought snaked through your mind. Fear and deception. You glanced at the elders, their faces masked in shadows, the truth flickering like candlelight in a storm. Had your leaders sacrificed your future for their comfort? One soldier shouted, "Enough of this madness. We've protected you from the dark for too long." The dark? The only darkness you saw was evident now. The villagers stirred, recognition dawning. Uncertainty rippled across the square. "None of you would dare betray us," shouted another elder, voice slicing through the tension. She stepped forward, brandishing a small, glinting object. Was it a dagger? The rumble of the earth quickened beneath you. A collective gasp rose from the villagers, sharp as a knife. The creature's eyes flared, narrowing with urgency. "It's not just me you need to fear. They have awakened something far darker." Awakened. You felt the blood drain from your face. It was happening. The routine shattered, like fragile glass. A voice broke through your thoughts, pleading, "What is this creature?" "To be honest," the creature replied, "I'm the solution nobody wanted. But it seems, standing here, wasted your trust." "Trust?" Everything turned upside down. Soldiers, the same faces you thought were protectors, were now enforcers of this madness. With a swift motion, the elder threw her dagger at the creature, but it deflected, sparks flying. The sound startled more than the clash of metal. It ignited a panic that swept through you. You searched for a way out, a place to tuck your trembling heart. As shadows closed in, the ground beneath you buckled again, the crack racing through the earth, cleaving it in two. With one last frantic glance, you realized you might be standing on a fault line of truth and betrayal. And the only thing more terrifying than the chaos around you was the darkness that had just awakened. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A darker truth unveiled. The ground rumbled, fracturing around you like a metaphor too clear to ignore. You stood frozen, the chaos spiraling, as shadows beckoned. The elders loomed, their faces obscured, hostility flickering in their eyes. The creature's growl vibrated through the air, grounding you in the horror of the moment. Your heart raced as you clutched the glowing map. What truths lay hidden? The atmosphere thickened, caught between fear and confusion. Why now, you thought, barely digesting the betrayal weaving through your town. Do you see what they've done? The elderly woman shouted, her voice cutting through the tension like sharp glass. The villagers are blind, entranced by their lies. A murmur rippled through the crowd. You scanned the familiar faces. Everyone you thought you knew now seemed part of a shadowy game. The soldier's features contorted with rage, a hint of uncertainty flickering behind his eyes. "Stop this nonsense!" he barked. "We've shielded you from the dark." What dark? You glanced at the glowing map, pulses of light shaping incoherent patterns. Your whole existence was being upended, day after day of sweeping dirt and waiting for potage, suddenly feeling far more sinister. Before you could process anything, the ground trembled violently again, and the air grew thick with dust. "Stop!" A creature's voice rose above the chaos, commanding but edged with desperation. And then, darkness. A shadow enveloped the village square, thicker than any darkness you had ever seen. It was as if the night itself had come alive, seeping into every crack and crevice. You staggered back, heart hammering in your chest. And then you heard it, a low, spine-chilling whisper slithering through the chaos. You were meant to be ours. A gasp echoed throughout the villagers. "What does that mean?" someone yelled, the panic unmistakable. The soldiers tightened their grips. Tension hummed like an overstrung bow. The elder woman's hand shot out, trembling yet firm. This creature was summoned by your leaders. They forged a pact, binding their blood to it. Blood. The very thought sent a chill down your spine. You felt the truth beginning to coalesce, but dread tightened around your throat like a noose. "What do you mean?" a villager cried. "We've lived in safety." "Safety?" She spat the word like poison. "Your safety rests on the graves of those sacrificed." You flinched. The monster's eyes flared, glints of fiery truth clawing through the corners of your fear. The villagers stared, realization dawning, faces transformed by the dawning horror. Then, without warning, the ground split wider. The map thrummed in your grasp, illuminating hidden glyphs that sparked whispers of ancient power. And still, the villagers retreated, darting towards the edges of the square. The creature roared again. "This is not just your battle. This is only the beginning." A wave of fear washed over you. What did it mean? The elders took a step back, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. What had you stumbled into? As the shadows bolstered around you, a low laughter echoed, the laugh of someone you knew, a familiar face emerging from the dark. A small boy, your neighbor's son, giggling amidst the terrifying chaos. "Mom told me to come find you," he shouted, oblivious to the brewing calamity. Time froze. How had he gotten here? And then, without warning, a blinding light erupted from the map, casting away shadows as it illuminated wide, terrified eyes. And in that moment when the world stood on the brink, uncertainty coiled around you like fog. How far would betrayal go? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A secret under the surface. You stood in that moment, staring at the little boy. He giggled, lisps barely articulating how unaware he was of the storm swirling around you. Yet, amid horror, came a glimmer of warmth, a tether to your humanity that had been gnawed upon by dread. But the little boy's laughter was swallowed by a sudden screech from behind. The elders' faces twisted in disbelief at the daring intrusion. The creature shifted, a ripple of tension racing through the villagers. You felt it too, like a brittle thread poised to snap. Then, as if the air itself churned in a frenzy, the ground shuddered once more. You staggered, searching for solid footing, an anchor in the unending chaos. Debris fluttered around you. Dust clouded your vision. Just as you regained your balance, the boy shouted, "Look!" He pointed towards the shadows, and your blood froze cold. A line of villagers separated from the crowd, but not in retreat. No, they gathered, forming a tight ring around the old woman who clutched that strange map. Their faces turned grim, shadows dancing across their features, revealing something that struck deeper fear than the lurking creature or the elders wrapping themselves in darkness. "We know!" came a fierce voice, loud enough to shake the very air. A villager stepped forward. "We know the truth!" A shiver ran down your spine. Voices rose amongst the elders, panic fluttering in their wide eyes. "This wasn't supposed to happen!" someone cried, as if whispering cast this web of doubt. "Not supposed to happen? You planned it!" the elder woman retorted, desperation haunting her words. "You sacrificed your people and led us to slaughter for power." Power? The word rang in your mind, heavy with implications. Were the elders puppeteering everything, even the very creature that threatened to collapse it all? The ground rumbled again, louder this time, shaking your bones. Shadows flickered at the edges of reality, as if the ground itself was unraveling. You scanned the faces. Fear, anger, determination mixing like oil and water. "I saw you," the voice ridiculed, echoing through the despair. "At the river, you declared who would belong to the beast." Disbelief rolled through the villagers, like wind scattering old leaves. The girl's words hit you. Was it true? Did your neighbors conspire to offer lives as tribute? Someone else gasped, "You can't deny it." Deafening silence followed. It pressed thick against your skin. You could almost taste the bitterness in the air. "The sacrifices began long ago," the girl continued, bitterness dripping from her tone. "And they kept feeding us lies. While you played leaders, we became fodder. But now we've awakened something you can't control." The creature's eyes glimmered, as if acknowledging this rising tide of rebellion, a hunger for freedom. What had you missed in the monotony of sweeping and stirring? With each passing moment, destruction loomed closer. The air crackled with potent energy, curling around your lungs like curdled smoke. Your heart raced. "What do we do?" The villagers glanced at you, eyes wide, but just as confusion mounted, a horrifying roar erupted, tearing through tension like a knife. The creature lunged forward, its size dwarfing everything. Your belly twisted, realizing, had the elders truly unleashed something they could no longer tame? And amid all the madness, one single question coiled tight within you. Who had truly orchestrated this chaos? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments. Where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. The earth trembled, rumbling like a disgruntled stomach after a long day without a proper meal. You stood there, surrounded by chaos, villagers gripping each other's arms, eyes darting between the creature and the elders. The tension danced in the air like a flickering candle. The once familiar voices of your neighbors now rang with clarity, challenging the shadows. "You've hidden the truth," someone shouted, accusation hanging thick like low-hanging fog. As if sensing the shift, the creature stepped forward, enormous limbs casting a long shadow, a solemn protector amid rising tempers. "Fear not, for I refuse to be a pawn in your leader's cruel game." A ripple of uncertainty coursed through the villagers, eyes wide, minds spinning, as clarity emerged against the haze of fear. You felt elated yet wary, like a blade poised on the edge of a precipice. "Enough!" The lead elder's voice broke the silence. "You would dare challenge our authority?" His visage twisted with rage. Yet, beneath the surface, uncertainty flickered, like a candle at the mercy of a wild wind. In that electric moment, a young villager stepped forward, her voice unwavering. Is it truly authority when it's built on deception? The air thickened, whispers escalated, weaving through the crowd like a worn ember, igniting courage where dread had reigned. The ground shook again, a shuddering reminder that you were at the brink of something monumental, something far grander than sweeping dirt and boiling pottage. With a sudden roar, the creature lunged, but not in aggression. It was a desperate plea for clarity amidst the unfolding storm. This village will no longer stand ensnared in lies. It reached out a claw, tracing the map's glowing symbols, revealing truths buried deeper than roots. The panic seemed visceral, raw as villagers began to shift, stepping towards the shadow of the creature, facing those that had cast them into a life of dread. One by one, hands clenched in determination, they united against the might that had sown division. The elders faltered, their facade cracking like aged plaster. Sunlight suddenly cut through the storm, illuminating the map, revealing pathways leading to untold possibilities. And then it happened. A harmony of voices rose, defiant, echoing through the square. "We stand no longer in fear. We seek truth." A sense of togetherness washed over you, a warm tide amid the cold chaos. Just as the last bit of darkness began to dissipate, a loud crash echoed. The dark shadows surrounding the elders slipped away, revealing the villagers standing resolute against the encroaching storm. But before a final victory chant could erupt, you felt a turn in the air, a lingering worry, a whisper of what yet remained hidden. The creature, glowing before you, cocked its head, an ever-watchful guardian, its eyes ignited with memories lost. And just as the sun set, casting a deep orange hue over everything, over you, over the villagers, over the newly aware truth, you felt a shiver of uncertainty. What lay beyond the mountains? Had this battle truly ended, or had it merely ignited a far greater storm just beyond the horizon? you must subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait another second to share this video right away with 5 friends who need to hear this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of these actions.